State of Decay 2 Hardcore Survivors charges on. This latest trial asks for two of my prized legacy characters and, oh my word, two big names have been pulled. I promise it's all random, but these two absolute legends make a great story. Meet Shanice Ma. Shanice is a woman with a troubled history. She was a juvenile delinquent, culminating in her arrest aged 17. Thankfully, the cop that brought her in was kind to her, and inspired by him, Shanice cleaned up her life. In the following years, she'd trained as a masseuse and became active as both a football fan and a theatre nerd. But it took the end of the world to make her realise that she needed to step up and truly dedicate herself to law and order. With extroverted vigour, Shanice steps forward. And who steps with her? Meet Jacinta Moreno. Moreno was a cop. To all extents and purposes, she was good and showed determination. Besides a few online courses, she didn't do much else prior to the outbreak. And Moreno was also dating a man in her precinct, but he has since been killed by the blood plague. That man was the brother of one of my earliest survivors, and his death hit Moreno hard. Moreno became distant and withdrawn, doubting her line of work if all wound up in a dead world. And what is there now? Why dedicate yourself to a law that no longer exists? With introverted reluctance, Moreno steps forward. Both of these athletic women have very high stamina, some of the highest of all my characters, but they have very different views on policing. One is looking to the future, the other is stuck in the past. What kind of law enforcement sheriffs will they establish? For this run, I can only play as these two characters, and the third character going in is a Talon operative called Melton to watch their progress. And this progress is in Providence Ridge, in the lethal zone with constant negative and extreme curveballs. And that's not all. Alongside my normal rules, no special traders, no boons, no exploits, etc, 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 we're also not allowed to radio for new enclaves or even recruit new members until all plague hearts have been destroyed. Shanice and Moreno will have to tag team each other to survive as per the rules of a duo run on Providence Ridge. Let's wish them the best of luck. We take the first base, and I find that Shanice is carrying 3 fully loaded Raiders AR-15s with advanced brakes. Jesus, I guess I forgot her last run was in the Middle East. Moreno is similarly armed, so we've got the ordnance, but we don't have much else. I give Melton one of the Raider AR-15s and move on. See, Melton is just a glorified guard for this run, and computer-controlled characters don't use ammo. So, giving her this high rate of fire beast is a good move to allow her to defend the base. Now begins the familiar part of any SOD 2 run. Looting the entire starting town for anything and everything. I mean, I might as well. You never know what you'll need further down the line. I mix some petrol for my car, drive it to the building materials and load up. I take a moment to fully loot this house, and as I do, I think we can get to know Shanice a little better. She is a Tempest class, which is my version of a swordplay build. Since making my class video, I've been wondering about endurance versus swordplay. The latter gives me this very nice insta-kill attack, which makes the more monotonous aspects of killing individual zombies easier. But swordplay in general versus the huge health boost, I'll have to think about this some more. But I will say it's fascinating that Shanice is colour-coded red against Moreno, who is a Seeker class, coloured blue. It really does feel as if these two were destined to meet and interact with each other, each having what the other lacks. And yeah, I changed her outfit. It was supposed to be blue, alright? Seekers wear blue bomber jackets. That's just how it is. I get the stuff back to base, and a bunch of clowns move into the very house I just looted. Oh my god, who stole all your stuff? Crazy. Anyway, they want plague samples because they always do, but this time I had 1 or 2 from a previous run, so That's sorted, and I keep the local plague hearts asleep for now. As we truck on, the sheriff quests start up. If it wasn't obvious, both Shanice and Moreno are both sheriff leader types. Yes, the last run was as well, but I don't have much choice here. I pick up the wronged party, go and visit the thieves, and my companion dies as a scripted event. War. War never changes. I return the meds and they leave. I really hate this isolated little house. I return to base with purpose because one of my two ladies started with a medium vehicle upgrade kit. I did this a lot back in the day because the starting vehicle is always the Miragra, not the Mirage as I called it before. Anyway, yeah, I upgrade that sucker. And I do think carrying all that gear from the last run does dampen the experience somewhat, but I only have 2 characters on Lethal Zone Plus, so I think it evens out. I just wish the starting vehicle was different for each run. Looting the starting location goes on and on until...
I had this aunt who lived somewhere around here and fancied herself a survivalist.
Are you kidding me?
This long.
I didn't think these types of quests would spawn again, but if there's one quest that'll spawn, it's this. I swear I hardly see the other personal quests, just this. But you know what? The loot you get is good and there's no rule against it, so let's do it. Moreno keeps at it until I accidentally awaken a plague heart due to this feral. I load up and take it out with a smoke grenade I found earlier. The only heavy melee weapon I have is this shovel, which really isn't very good, but we work with what we find. I need to secure this area anyway. The sheriff missions keep coming and I'm glad to have organically spawning neighbours, even if they are at this little hard to reach house. I visit the others to find... Wait, what was that? Did you see that? Did someone beam up? Anyway, they've turned, and the others were hostile, so they're all dead as well. My neighbours were a bit shit, but I still help myself to all their gear. I unload it back at base, but then I get a surprise. It didn't even feel the need to announce itself. You absolute bastard. I solve a quest and get... meh. And then I sell most of that stuff I stole from the dead, but yet another curveball showed up unannounced. I had hoped this would spawn somewhere else, but no. It's right in the starting town. Gunky zombies are very bad for your ammo reserves. And yes, I know we're fucking packed, but I'd still rather scavenge elsewhere. I go back and steal all the loot from the dead and plan my next move. Incidentally, the last curve is Gargantuan Juggernaut, but I kind of like that one because it prevents a worse curveball spawning for a few hours. I'm leaving the starting town to avoid the gunky curveball, which would be wiser if this run also didn't start with the most notorious curveball of all, but here we are. Moreno's going to sort out the central town for a new scavenger haunt, but I get very sloppy against the plague heart. I'd forgotten how much a bite costs you. Of course, this awakens the others, so we keep the blitzkrieg up. A new outpost to the north of the central town and taking plenty of fuel because this run will need it. Vehicles are the most powerful weapons in SOD 2, and after not being able to use cars at all in the previous run, I'm going to exploit this. Shanice takes on another heart, but I get blindsided by this bloater. But it did make the process quicker. Another plague heart fight, and I really hate this shovel. Top priority is finding a better heavy melee weapon. Finish off a random quest, theorise there's another heart here, and we get to work once again. Shanice started with 3 bottles of Mickey Wilkerson Special Brew, so I just used that. I don't want to fall into the I'll save it for later mentality and then never actually use them, so I'll just use them now. And down. And another outpost now at the bottom of this little town. Things are going well, but my 2 characters are getting beat up, so I'd really like to dial it back now. Shanice makes leader, and then more looting. The sheriff leader quest starts showing up, so I can't switch Shanice out yet, but it's all the way over there. I make my way over, stopping by this petrol station halfway to load up. I'm worried I'm going to have a serious fuel shortage further down the line. Since this run didn't feel it was derivative enough, I also have the Alcoholics Enclave going on. I clear the gunky zombies and take her back to her condemned house. Back we go yet again, and I'm swiftly reminded why I wanted to leave this corner for now. That wasn't even the quest. Then, disaster strikes. That could have been much worse, but we're in trouble now. Back to base again, back out again, and I finally reached this shitty little house I didn't like last time. Finally. Back to base again, just in time for the next part of the Aunt's Prepper quest. I'm just gonna run to it. I've had more than enough of Bangonomics already. But luckily enough, I also have a repair kit for light vehicles, so I can upgrade the Vagabond into a... Okay, slight panic there. Now I have a Trailblazer. The Trailblazer is okay. You can't jump on the roof in the event of a triple bloodfewl attack, but it's fuel efficient and easy to control, so I'll use it until Bangonomics blows over. The timer for a leadership mission is ticking down. However, Shanice is still not up to scratch, so I'll have to keep an eye on the timer and keep using Moreno to loot as much as she can from everywhere while Shanice heals up. I have always loved looting in this game. I usually steal everything on the map because I just enjoy it so much. It's good to grind, and it'll put you in a better position for when you're really ready to bring the blitz. But one thing I need is a better heavy melee weapon. I'm not cool with just a shovel, and I want something with a bit more power. Oh, would you look at that? How typical is this? The search continues. I took a break from SOD 2 and played an old favourite, and a new favourite. I made videos on both, but neither got the views I'd hoped for. But my SOD 2 classes and weapons video still gets a few dozen views a day. I'll stick with SOD 2 for a bit, but can I beg anyone watching to leave a like, a comment, a sub? Help a loser out. The algorithm loves that shit. As the looting goes on, I take the time to rob this gun shed. There's a few of them on every map, and once you've memorised them all, you can stop by for some decent loot. Although don't expect much in Lethal Zone. Bangonomics clears, possibly the best message one could hope to receive. Although I may have pushed the time too much. Shani still isn't up for it, but I don't want to fail. Some fast driving and we're back at the shitty condemned house with less than a minute left. Gunslinger really is king, and anyone who says otherwise is stupid. I struggle to loot these bodies with her curled up on the floor like that, but I'm determined to rob the dead.
See you later.
Unfortunately, while clearing the house of a rogue screamer... What the hell?
Hello? I can't do this without you.
Oh, but we can, Shanice. Oh, but we will. Seriously though, everyone was already dead. I guess the timer was still ticking down but not showing me? What a rip-off. I blame her not letting me loot faster. Screw it, I wasn't planning on running the stupid alcoholic questline anyway. More to the point, we have a whole new challenge awaiting us. While on the drive over, I got some very interesting news. We must act now before this thing can become a major problem. It's on the other side of town and it's now top priority. The first thing is to get the Black Plague samples so we can determine what the heart is weak to. I switch back to Moreno so Shanice can finish her rest, and I just back over a bunch of zombies until I've got them. This is a black heart that drains health when you're in its area of effect. It's one of the few occasions Zedrenaline is actually useful. Not that I'm allowed to use advanced biochem items for these runs, but if you do, Miasma Heart is where to use them. I get the samples to the nearby scientist person thingy, and I'm back out hunting for a heavy melee weapon better than a shovel. While driving around, Melton bitches at Shanice.
I'm not saying I'm gonna cut someone I'm not saying it either.
Melton, honey, you're just here to watch. You haven't even done anything. Why are you lashing out? I don't understand why she's so pissy, and this isn't even the first time she's threatened to cut someone. While getting the news about the Black Plague Heart, Milton bitched about Moreno.
I'm not saying I'm gonna cut someone, but I'm not saying it either.
I refuse to believe that I'm the real problem here.
Moreno is right. Seriously, Melton, you offer an extra outpost slot and that's it. Shut the fuck up. Okay, the Black Plague Heart is weak to melee. That's fine. I'll use Shanice to take it out because she's the one with the powerhouse cardio skill to deal a heavy hit. But that's not all Shanice has going for her. Shanice Ma was, funnily enough, the first character I ever killed a Black Plague Heart with. That was in Trumbull Valley with the huge AoE that drains your fuel. But she got it done there, and she can do it again. But the curveballs fly thick and fast, further muddying my plans. And would you believe it? Fueling the plague. And it's covering the Black Plague Heart zone, making that whole area crazy dangerous. I've learnt the hard way not to mess about with this curveball far too many times now. New priority is to take it out so the fight against the Black Heart won't be as dangerous. But all I have is this shovel. Look, I even found a third one. This is... yeah, we're all set to become the most fearsome trio of gardeners in the post-apocalypse. Oh, whatever. Armed with the Spade of Doom, I head to the Fueling the Plague zone. Luckily, it's in this large building where Zed struggled to get inside. I go to town and face little resistance. In fact, the weird explodey zombies even help. Yes, I know that power can be utilised for destruction, but I don't want my characters to die. I'm not taking any unnecessary chances this time, and now that's one problem taken care of. The next problem is fire. I don't have a reliable way to make fire items which will be vital when going against not just the Black Plague Heart, but all the other Plague Hearts. I lack the building materials to upgrade my workshop, but Providence Ridge has the perfect place to stock up. This area in the northwest has plenty of unfinished houses with loads of materials I'll need to upgrade my workshop. So I head off and we crash. Great. A restart later and I'm standing on top of the Trailblazer, which is normally impossible. Moreno drives up to the building sites and we fill our boots to get the base ready for war. At this point, I lose the door. That must have been the weakest door ever. Presumably it was being held on with blue tack. We unload the materials, upgrade the workshop, and now we must wait. I had hoped to assault the Black Heart sooner, but at least while I wait, it'll be daytime when I finally drive over. Moreno is getting tired, but I'm saving Shanice for the Black Heart. So it's back to more looting, especially for a damn heavy melee. I find a brick hammer in a Plague Heart husk. That's much more like it. I really wish I'd got it earlier. After looting the central town some more, eventually the workshop is completed, and I can craft as many Molotovs as I like. I'm going to need them come the assault. I decide to repair the Trailblazer door just in case. And off we go. Shanice Ma has the highest stamina of all my legacy characters. The reason is because of her fifth skill, sports trivia. She was a football fan prior to the outbreak, and her knowledge carries over into giving her a massive stamina boost. It's just as well because she'll need it taking out this monster. I use weak painkillers to offset the health-draining miasma of the Black Heart and keep my assault up. Shanice has quite low health, but between packing strong painkillers for rougher moments and my trusty brick hammer, we're doing well. Despite some very awkward moments with plague fells in enclosed spaces, Gunslinger doesn't track through walls, we get the final hit, and the curveball has been cleared. Best of all, I get prestige when I kill a Blackheart, and playing less Daybreak is the greatest reward of all. After the post-fight loot, the radio silence curveball readies up. Given I can't really use the radio for this run, this isn't such a bad curveball to have. The problem is the influence penalty, which if left unchecked can cause all sorts of problems later down the line. The tower I need to clear is in the town to the southeast. I'd normally just leave it, but there is something there I really want. The landmark outpost for the sniper support radio command. A command I can't even use with this curveball active. I'm going to make that my new mission. I really rate sniper support despite knowing the wider community doesn't. It saved my ass so many times during the early lethal runs that I have a real soft spot for it. It thins the herd, killing a random zombie every few seconds and giving you much needed breathing space. Firstly, I need to sort out a sheriff dispute, and so I raid a few more locations en route, including another isolated gun shed. Damn crazy Yanks. And while sorting out the dispute, I dodge off the roof to save time, only to stack it. Ow. That's stupid. Anyway, I check which enclave I want to piss off the least and choose not them like I always do. The elevated senses curveball kicks up, and this is a bad one. On lethal, it makes zombie encounters practically infinite. You fight, more join the fight, more join that fight, and eventually you will be swamped. You will need to run away from massive zombie hordes that can see and hear you further. I really want to switch out, but Moreno is still exhausted. This isn't the first time the limits of Duo Run have screwed me over. I decide to just take the damn medkit and truck on for now, before getting back to some looting. Oh, also, Thick Skin showed up. Damn fireproof zombies. But I'm not done yet. No one's yet built the gallows I'll swing from, boy. A network barter agent spawns nearby, and I decide now is a great time to flog all my useless crap. Influence might well be a problem further down the line. I buy the good stuff and drive back and forth a few times to get all the influence. I'll have enough for the damn landmark now. I then load up to challenge my objective. I want to clear that town, but on my way down I notice a lot of infestations. So I decide to clear this awakened heart first. I'm in a much better position to start bringing the pain. I then kill another heart, and awoke the whole damn town. The fight is very much on. This is my next target, and well, that was irritating. A few dodges and a few sloppy attacks, and I try again to... Oh, for Willy Pete's sake, shut the hell up, you Left 4 Dead reject! Shanice took too much damage during all of that, so I head back to base and switch for Moreno, who is now fully recovered. There isn't much more to say about Jacinta Moreno. She's a melancholic character going through the motions. That's it. I taught her soundproofing before I knew how rubbish that skill was, and then got even worse. Shanice has a much more checkered history, including a near-death experience to hostile humans in an earlier run. I hope the wild ways of a former criminal can inspire the jaded former cop. We'll have to wait and see. Also, I built Melton a latrine. Maybe she'll be less of a bitch if she wipes her fucking ass. While editing, it's become clear that I'm going to need to split this one into 2 parts because things get a little crazy further down the line. Will Shanice's sporting knowledge save her? Will Moreno rediscover her purpose in life? Will Melton stop being an absolute tool? Find out in the next exciting installment of Theatre of Decay. No one is watching this, your content is shite.